We are officially recording now.
Is there any paper towels in here?
Yep, very back. Good morning, everybody's coming in. I'm getting set up right now, so please bear with me. All right, it's 8. Good time to start attendance, which I will explain a little bit more about attendance once we start talking about the syllabus. So, we have last name Bangura, B-A-N-G-U-R-A, not here as of yet. I'm also planning on getting a slow start because it's the first day and, people need to find out where to go. All right, so once again, Bangura is not here. How about last name Canty? All right, last name Casebolt. Good. Jacob's first name? Go by that, Jacob? Yes. Okay. Ciampanella? Last name Ciampanella? Okay. Last name Covington Griggs?
Yeah.
All right. Gotcha. Last name DeVere. D-E-V-E-R-E. All right. Dow. D-O-W. Okay. Gotcha. Hughes.
Here.
Gotcha. Walter Hughes. Lebdy. L-E-B-D-I. Okay. Little. Lytle. Thank you. You might have to correct me a few times.
No, you're fine.
Speaking of which, well, we'll get that when I introduce myself. Anyway, Mankins. Mathis. Here. Mathis is here. Price. Rains. Rains is here. Reed is also here. Rennie. Ross. Thompson is here. Withrow. No Withrow. Yindui. Y-I-N-D-U-I. That's all. All right. So if I didn't call your name, raise your hand. What's your last name?
Burdette.
Burdette? All right. For some reason, I don't have you on my roster. Could be a fluke. We'll figure it out later. If you don't mind, either send me an email, or you got something.
I got your email.
If you got my email, that means we're at least at one point on the list.
Yeah, that was, and I had, yeah. And then all classes.
Okay,
And I go back to work.
that's weird. All right.
Should I go?
Send her an email or whoever advised you or registered you. Talk to them, yeah.
Okay.
But in the meantime, you're good. Just do it. Hang out here. You know, as far as I'm concerned, you're in the class.
Okay.
And you said it was Burdette?
Yeah.
Okay. Add me to this list. And once again, like I told everybody, it's the first day, so I'm trying to get a little bit of a late start to give people time to get here. Speaking of which, got some people come in, so let's really quickly look at this again. Excuse me. Anyway, let's see. All right, so once again, the people who are not here, Bangura.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Canty. Campanella. DeVere is online. If you're online, well, I'll explain that here in a second too. All right, Lebdy. Mankins is here. Rains, no, I'm sorry, Price. Rennie, Ross, Withrow, Yindui. Anybody I didn't call? All right, it's 8 or 4. We'll go ahead and get started. I'm trying to slide off and close the door. Again, I am going to still start slowly. Hoping people show up. But even if they miss it, that's okay. We are recording this, so we can still get the information. All right, so today we're just going to talk about the syllabus. First thing I'm going to show you is where to find the syllabus. Go to my online, log in. Sorry, it looks weird. It'll look normal on your device. So this is important. You're going to need to be familiar with my online. So everything we do is in person, like the lectures and the labs, but all assignments are going to be turned in online, and all your resources are online. So, oops, don't want that. Come on. Go to my courses. Let's see, 101, 102, this is us. So if you go to the course, then right here is the Web 30 syllabus. So let's talk about it. My plan is to just highlight this stuff. We're going to talk about the most important stuff and or the stuff that is mostly a challenge for the students who came before you. Let's see if I can margin this at all. No, maybe not. Anyway, all right, let's get started anyway. First of all, my name is Vasilios Dianellos. You can see it, sort of see it. It's kind of blurry. It's right there. It's a weird name, I understand. I don't really care what you call me. Mr. V, Mr. D, Professor D, whatever. You know, as long as it makes sense and I know to listen for it, then we're good. Like if you say, hey, Bob, that's not going to make any sense, so I won't listen for it. So as long as it makes sense, we're good. My phone number, excuse me, this is my office phone number. Again, I know it's hard to see, but you guys have access to the syllabus. Speaking of which, if you want me to print you out a copy of the syllabus, email me and I will do that. But until then, you have a digital version. Here's my office phone number, 304-766-3125. If you need me in a hurry, that is the best way to reach me. Because if you email me, like I get probably hundreds of emails a day and I try to address them in the order that I receive them. So if you need me in a hurry, that's probably not the way to get me because it'll take me a while probably before I get to your email. If you call that number, like I said, that's my office number, excuse me, but it's also forwarded to my cell phone. So if you need me, call that. I don't care what time of day it is or what day it is. It could be 3 in the morning on a Wednesday. I probably won't answer it because I'm probably asleep and I turn my phone off when I go to sleep. But if I happen to be awake for some reason at 3 in the morning on a Wednesday and you have some question about some study guide, call me and I'll answer it. So again, you'll never bother me. Call me whenever you want. This is my email address. Speaking of which, make sure you check your emails. I've already sent out a very important email. So check that. That's probably, if you don't need me in a hurry, that's probably the best way to reach me is email. I prefer emails. That way I can save things and look back on them. It's good to have a paper trail. So there's my email address. Definitely use it. Also, this is very important. Make sure you check your emails at least once a day in this class. Well, probably in college in general, right? Make sure you check your emails often. And speaking of which, check your emails before you come in if you can. Because things happen, right? I don't live on campus. I live in Scott Depot. I have 3 kids in school, so any number of things could go wrong. I might have to cancel class or say, hey, we're not meeting today in person. We're going to meet online only, right? And because who knows? Again, I was actually snowed in today. I had to use my wife's van to get here. So, you know, things like that could happen, in which case I would send an email and say, hey, we're meeting online only. Here's the link. I'll see you at 8. Make sense? All right. Speaking of which, this link says right here, this is the link for the online video call. That's actually out of date. So the link that I sent you for and then that last email that I was talking about, that's the link you're going to need to meet online. So if you want to meet during office hours, which I'll talk about here in a second, or if you can't make it in because you're snowed in or feeling sick, you can meet online for the lectures instead of in person. So that's the link you're going to use. Again, it's the one that I sent you in an email. But it doesn't matter. If you forget that link or lose that link, that email with the link, just send me another email. Like, hey, can you send me the link again? Back good there? All right. So course description. Well, actually, let me not skip this. First of all, my office hours are every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 9 to 10. But I'm also on Fridays from 9 to 12. So those are the dates and the days and the times you're guaranteed to find me in the office and guaranteed to find me online. So you don't need to schedule anything. You can just drop in person or online, and you're guaranteed to find me online or in person on those times. And speaking of which, I also try to stay online even outside of those office hours. So this isn't like office hours doesn't mean that's the only time you can reach me. It just means that's the one time you're guaranteed to reach me without having to schedule anything. But generally speaking, I try to stay online using the same link every Monday through Friday between 7 a.m. and 4 p.m. Sometimes a little bit earlier, sometimes a little bit later, but that's generally what I shoot for. So I'm pretty easy to find. Recently, I've been trying to not work weekends, which doesn't mean don't bother me on weekends. Please bother me on weekends if you want. I only say that because I just don't want to make you think that you will be able to reach me, right? So I don't want you to think, oh, every time I send them an email on a Saturday, I don't hear back from them until Monday. I'm telling you, that's probably the way it's going to be. But that doesn't matter. Don't let that discourage you from emailing me whenever you want or calling me. So any questions about office hours or my contact information? All right, course description. This is probably the most important part for you guys. We are going to meet here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 8:50. You can plan on it. Again, check your emails before you come in. Sometimes things come up. Sometimes this campus is closed. Usually when anything comes up, I will be online 100% instead of in person and online like we are today. So there are options, and that goes for you too. And we're going to talk about attendance here in a second. But if you feel like you can't make it in for whatever reason, just join us online. And I'll come back to that before I take any questions about it. Labs. This is very important. Labs are every Wednesday, other than this Wednesday. We're not having lab this week because it's the first week. Excuse me, from 10 to 11:50. So make sure you have that on your calendars. We will be in lab every Wednesday from 10 to 11:50. Excuse me, you don't want to schedule anything like doctor's appointments, dentist appointments, lunch dates, right? Don't schedule anything for Wednesdays at 10 to 11:50. You have to be here. We'll talk a little bit more about lab when we actually do lab, but attendance is mandatory. Well, it's mandatory for both, but for labs, it's even more important because if you're not in lab, then you can't get points for the lab. So that's a lot of points missing. Here, if you're not in lab, I mean, I say attendance is mandatory for lectures, but I don't know. It's mandatory because the university told me so. But that's it. It's not going to hurt you if you don't show up. You will get extra credit for showing up, but you're not going to get penalized for not showing up. At least not from me. The university might do something if you're absent. I don't know what they do. But anyway, we'll get back to that when we talk about attendance. So I'm not going to read the course description. Excuse me. I'm going to talk more about that on Wednesday when we actually start the course. But I do expect you to read this. So please read the syllabus before we meet on Wednesday. And historically, I would say 2 students out of every class actually read the syllabus. And I'll know how you read the syllabus. And when you read the syllabus, you'll know how I know if you read the syllabus or not. So please read the syllabus. That's your first assignment. Read the syllabus before we come back on Wednesday. That way you can come back to me with some questions on Wednesday. Again, same with the outcomes. You can read the outcomes. I don't need to talk to you about that. We'll briefly discuss it on Wednesday. This is important for you. The textbook. The textbook is free and it's online. So the link for it is right there. You download the syllabus and use that link. That link right there. Free online textbook. You don't need to buy anything. Any questions about that?
I did.
All right. All right. This is probably the stuff that most students are concerned about, grade distribution. So this course in total is worth 1,000 points, right? And it breaks down like such. We have 8 quizzes. So it's one quiz every 2 weeks. Each quiz is worth 20 points. So that's a total of 160 points, right? So that's almost 2 letter grades. And I'll talk a little bit more about the quizzes as we get later into the syllabus. We have 4 exams, 3 of which are just regular exams. They are worth 100 points apiece. So that's 300 points total. So that's 3 letter grades worth of exams, regular exams. I don't know, why is the final not on there? Oh yeah, it is, sorry. The final exam, it's at the very end, obviously, and it's worth 140 points. So that's a little bit more than 1 letter grade. Any questions about exams? I won't take that yet because I'll talk more about exams as we get through the syllabus. The laboratory component is worth 300 points. So again, that's 3 letter grades. So it's very important. And then finally, there's something called independent work that's worth 100 points, and that is 1 letter grade. And I'll talk more about that as we get through the syllabus. Basically, it's a writing assignment, and I'll explain what it means. But again, it's a full letter grade, so we'll talk about it when we get there. Grading scale is pretty simple because it's a 1,000 level course. Basically, every 100 points is a letter grade, right? So you can see here, 900 and up is an A. Basically, 800 to 900 is a B. 7 to 8 is a C. 6 to 7 is a D, and anything below 600 is an F. Pretty straightforward, right? Okay, any questions so far? I'm going quick only because this is being recorded and because I don't want to waste your time. This is pretty simple stuff. And you have a copy of the syllabus, so you can refer back to it. So the quizzes, like I said, every 2 weeks we have an online quiz that's due. There are 8 of them. So therefore, what should I tell you about? All right, the most important thing you need to know about the quizzes is this. They're online, they are untimed, and you can take them as many times as you want. Those are your study guides for the exam. So when you're getting ready for the exam, I recommend you taking the quizzes. They are also shuffled and pulled from a pool of questions. So every time you take the quiz, you should get a different version of it. Because again, it's there to help you study for the exam. So let's say you take the exam the first time and you score 100%. And then you're like, well, I don't want to mess my grade up because it's 100%. But then again, I do want to study for the exam. What do? Well, just take it again because it's your highest grade that counts. So if you take it the first time, you get 100%, and then you take it the second time, you get 5%. It's the 100% that stays in the grade book. Does that make sense? So there's no reason you shouldn't get 100% on those quizzes. Excuse me, because they're not timed, and you can take them as many times as you want. So just keep taking them until you get your 100%. And again, also, those are your study guides for the exams, because the questions on your exams, for the most part, almost all of them, will be questions that you had on your quizzes, just reworded. So make sure you take your quizzes. And then the last thing I'll say about quizzes, and this is applicable to the other assignments that I'll tell you about too. When you're done with the quizzes, when you're done taking them, and you're ready for, when you're done taking the quizzes, you can meet me online and we can go through your quiz and talk about all the questions you missed. So I can explain, all right, this is why this is the incorrect answer. Come on in. This is why this is the incorrect answer. This is why this is the correct answer. This is how I might reword this question for the exam, things like that. So I highly recommend doing that because, again, those are your study guides for the exam. So it would help if you had all the correct answers. Also, as is the case with any assignment, if you meet me online to get feedback like that, you'll get at least a 5% boost to that grade. Right? So that's my incentive to have you come to me and let me give you feedback and explain your grade instead of just saying, here's your grade. So any questions about quizzes? Okay, labs we'll talk more about next week when we actually do lab, but again, that's worth 300 points, so it's worth 3 letter grades. And again, for labs, you have to be here. You have to be here to do the labs. If you're not here, you get a 0 for that week's lab. If you have to miss, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Just let me know, like, hey, I can't make it because, you know, we're going to be playing basketball in Fremont or whatever. You know, let me know, and we'll work something out. You'll still be responsible for the lab, but if you have an excused absence, we'll work something out. And again, we'll cover that next week when we actually do lab. And also between now and next week, I'm also going to send you a series of announcements / emails where I give you some important information, and that'll include the lab stuff too. So I'm going to give you more information about labs between now and when we have our first lab next week. But for now, are there any questions about labs? Okay. Everything you need for labs, I'm either going to give to you, like I have materials that I get and bring in. And as far as books are concerned, it's all online. So you're going to go to my online, you're going to click it, there's going to be a document. That'll be your document that you fill out. So even though we're physically doing these experiments in person, you're going to be turning these labs in virtually. That makes sense. All right. How are we doing on time here? 8:16. All right, so this is kind of important. Officially, if you read the syllabus, if you can see it, it says late work will not be accepted. I can kind of zoom in there a little bit. Hey, there we go. Late work will not be accepted. That's the official policy. Unofficially, I'm telling you, go ahead and turn stuff in late. The problem is, if it's late, it's now at the bottom of my priority list. Right? So again, I do my emails, and every time somebody does an assignment, I get an email say, hey, this needs graded. So I do those in the order I get them, and I'm very busy. So if you turn in something late, I'll only do it once I'm caught up with prior stuff or current stuff. Does that make sense? So the reason I'm saying the official policy is the late work will not be accepted is because I might not get around to doing it. Especially, and this will happen, unfortunately, I've never been proven wrong. At the end of the semester, a lot of you are going to decide you want to turn in late work. And then I'm going to be flooded with late work, and I'm just literally not going to have time to do it. I'm going to spend hours and hours outside of my regular working hours trying to grade them, but I won't be able to because everybody's going to wait till the last minute to do it. So I recommend you turn in, well, first of all, I recommend try not to turn in work late. But if you miss an assignment, yes, turn it in late. And the sooner you turn it in, the more likely it is that I'll be able to grade it. Any questions about that? All right, exams. I'm not sure how we're going to do this yet. All the exams are online, I can tell you that. And generally speaking, you have 1 week to do them. But I'm not sure how I'm going to do this yet. We might, last semester we had it where, you just had a week to do it whenever you wanted. You had, and once you open it, you had 15 minutes to take 50 questions. But this semester, we'll see. I might have you guys come in to take the exams, even though they're online. Well, it all depends on a few things. So be prepared. Either way, you're going to need to use my online to take the exams. Either way, you're going to have 50 questions to take 50 minutes. I'm just not sure if you're going to have to come in to do it. So we'll see. But that being said, either way, if 50 minutes to take 50 multiple choice questions doesn't sound like enough time for you, then schedule a time to meet me online, like basically so I can proctor the exam and make sure you're taking a closed book exam. And I don't care how long it takes you to take an exam. It'll take you 2 hours, 3 hours, I don't care. As long as I know you're not using your textbook or notes or the internet, I don't care how long it takes you to take an exam. So if you have test anxiety, like, 50 minutes is not long enough, like I said, let me know beforehand. We'll schedule a time to meet, and then you can take it online with me and get rid of the time limit. Any questions about that? Okay. And once again, each test is about 50 questions. They're not cumulative, right? So we're going to learn a few chapters, take an exam on those few chapters. Then we're going to learn a few new chapters and then take an exam only on those new chapters. Then we're going to learn some more chapters and then take an exam only on those chapters. And then towards the end, we're going to learn about a few more chapters. And then that final exam will include that new information. So it'll be about 50 questions from the new information. And then there'll be 50 questions from the previous exams. So your study guide for the final exam is the quizzes and the other exams. So much, just like I said about the quizzes, when you're done with your tests, I'll open them back up so you can take them over and over again. And whatever your grade was at the beginning, that's what's going to count, right? So you're not going to mess your grade up. That's what you're going to use to study for the final. And just like the quizzes, if you meet me online, I can go through the exams with you and say, this is why you got this wrong. This is the correct answer, blah, 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 right? So you get all the correct answers and you get a 5% boost to that grade. So any questions about exams? All right. Independent work. All right, I'm going to take a little bit of time on this.
This should be the simplest thing to explain, but historically, this is what students get wrong. Again, your first assignment is to read the syllabus, so you can read all this, but let me just try to give you the basics of what this is. It's a written assignment. You have all semester to earn 100 points worth of written work. So all you need to do is start turning in papers between now and then. And again, this is all written here, so I'm giving you the information fast. Don't feel bad. Like, oh my God, I don't remember all this. It's all right here. A full page paper, full credit is worth 10 points. And that's double space times New Roman. So that's not much. And it doesn't have to be a full page. You could turn in a paper that's 3 sentences long. Like, hey, my dog got heartworms, and I was wondering more about heartworms. I looked it up. And according to this source, this is what heartworms do to dogs. And that's your paper, right? It'd be a few sentences long. It doesn't matter how short or how long your paper is. Just turn in papers, right? And do that until you hit 100 points. And that's the beauty of it, in my opinion, is you're not forced to write something beyond how long you're interested in, right? So if you find something interesting and you're writing a paper about it, just keep writing until you're like, I'm done with that, and then turn it in. That make sense? Just keep going until you hit 100 points. And think about it. That's less than 10 points per week, because we're here for 16 weeks. That means I'm basically asking you to write less than 1 page per week, right? Or less than 1 page total per week. So start doing it now, and I'm telling you, and if you find anybody who's had my class before, they'll probably tell you this. People wait until the end, and then they're out of luck. And that's a full letter grade. And it seems crappy, but again, if you're one of those people like, I'm not good at science or I'm not good at testing, this is your assignment. Because you can't screw it up. All you have to do is keep turning papers in until you hit 100. You can turn in a piece of crap paper and get very few points, but it doesn't hurt you, right? Just keep turning stuff in until you hit 100 points. Does that make sense? All right, hope so. That being said, what can you write about? Anything you want that's about biology, right? So if you have a question, you can just look it up and answer it. If you read an article, and I'm going to share articles with you, and say, hey, maybe you want to summarize this. You can summarize that. The important thing is you do not use AI, and you properly use your sources. I'm going to share this link with you. Make sure you read it. Where is it at? Yeah, right there maybe? Yeah, how to properly use sources. Make sure you read this and follow this correctly. You have to properly use sources. Every single fact in your paper needs to have a source with it. Because here's the problem. Well, first of all, that's good practice anyway. Especially, though, now with AI. You're not allowed to use AI to write your papers or rewrite your papers. And AI is historically bad about writing papers, even when you say include your links. So this is usually how I find out that you used AI to write a paper. If you include information and there's no source for your information, like 75% of cattle died from bird flu in China last year. I'm like, what? And I read your source that says nothing about China or bird flu. Like, where the hell did you get this? This is how I know, amongst other ways, that you used AI. So don't use it. And if you do, I'm telling you, you don't want to, this is going to be harder work for you. If you use AI to write a paper, read that paper very carefully and then check every single source that it gave you and make sure that every single fact is in that paper or in your source, which is a lot harder than just writing your own paper. But if you want to do that, that's okay with me because you're going to learn a lot because you're going to have to read that paper very carefully, read all those sources very carefully. So yeah, this is why I'm so picky with sources. Make sure you use proper sources. Again, make sure every fact is substantiated with a source. Make sure every source includes a link that I can use. So don't send anything behind the paywall, right? If you subscribe to National Geographic, that won't work because I have to have the subscription to read your source. What else? Make sure you use the exact source, right? So don't do like a homepage. Like if you were going to cite something from the WVSU homepage or some website from WVSU, you wouldn't put the homepage, you would put the exact page. Does that make sense? Not the homepage, but the exact source of your link. What else about sources? I think that's mostly it. Again, I'm very strict with that. At the beginning, it'll be like I'll just take your paper and I'll return it back to you and say, hey, do you have a source for this? Do you have a source for that? Or, hey, I clicked this source and it doesn't work. That's how it will be at the beginning. And then as we get through the semester and you get used to this, then eventually it'll just be zeros. Like, hey, you wrote this paper. Here's a fact that you included, but there's no source for it, so I can't accept this paper. So be careful with it. And again, I recommend starting now so you get used to how I grade and you can start getting your points. As a matter of fact, like I said, what I say there, it's worth 10 points per page. From now until, well, I don't know how long. So I'm changing it. For now, papers are worth 20 points per page. So here's your chance. I'm telling you, this week, start writing some papers. How do you write them? That's the last thing I'm gonna tell you, and then we'll move on from this independent work. Then, if you have questions after this, let me know. You don't have to do any of this alone. If you're like, I was thinking about writing, meet me. But hey, I was thinking about writing this for the paper, and we can talk about it. I can set you in the right direction. Anyway, the way you'll do it is, oh shoot, what's not on there? I'll share some documents with you this week. Basically, you're going to use Google Documents. Have you guys ever used Google Docs? Well, you get familiar with that in the labs anyway. You're going to go to Google Docs. You're going to write a paper. You're going to share it with me that way. That's it. That's pretty simple. And again, if you start now, I expect you to make mistakes because it's kind of like trial by error, right? So you'll start now, and I'll correct your mistakes, and we'll keep going back and forth. And eventually, you'll have it down. I hope you'll have it down way before the due date. And so anyway, any questions about independent work? All right, it's very important. Make sure you do it. And again, don't wait until the end because as you'll see, my grading is a little bit odd. So you might wait until the last weekend and turn in what you think is 100 points worth of work. And then it turns out I can't accept any of it for one reason or another. So start turning it in now. Again, 20 points per page for now. I don't know for how long. So start writing papers. All right, extra credit. I'm also going to share a document with you about this. I give a lot of extra credit, a lot, like probably hundreds of points worth of extra credit. The document I'm going to share with you will explain the math and explain how I apply the extra credit. So for now, you don't need to worry about it. Extra credit will never bump you up, and this is all in the writing, but extra credit will never bump you up by 2 points or 2 grades. So for example, if you have an F and you have hundreds of points worth of extra credit and it's supposed to bring you up to a C, it won't. It'll bring you up to a D, but you'll never jump 2 grades because of extra credit, just because it's in the policy. And that's like, you have that much time to be doing that much extra credit, and you have that low of a grade. Focus on the actual coursework. But anyway, yeah, there'll be a lot of extra credit. Just again, my hint to you is to check your emails regularly, because a lot of the extra credit will be found there. So any questions for now about extra credit? All right, class participation, attendance, deadlines, and makeup. Here we go. Like I said, late work. Officially, late work is not accepted. That's the official policy. But again, like I said earlier, unofficially, turn it in. The sooner you turn it in, the more likely it is to be graded. The same thing with mistakes. Then you'll see, like when I grade your labs, most of your labs, if you make mistakes, you'll get points deducted. I'll tell you what the mistake is, and then you can fix it. Like this is almost never the end of the story. When you turn something in and get your grade back, that's usually not the end of it. Then you can just go back, correct your mistakes, and turn it in again. But again, this kind of falls under the late work category, because if it's after the due date that you made your corrections and turned it in, then it's at the bottom of my priority list. I do hope to grade it. I do plan to grade it, but the sooner you do it, the better. Does that make sense? All right. So again, try not to turn anything late. But if you do miss an assignment, go ahead and turn it in late. And again, make corrections. Make corrections to your assignments. The only thing you can't correct is independent work, because there's no reason to correct it, because there's not one assignment, right? You just keep turning things in and getting points until you hit 100. That's why you can't make corrections with that. If you do really bad on exams, and we'll cross that bridge when we get there, most likely you will be able to even correct that to boost your grade a little bit. So for the most part, nothing is set in stone, right? You'll have plenty of chances to earn extra credit, to turn in late work, to make corrections, which brings another point that I don't think this is written in the syllabus, but generally speaking, don't cheat. Don't use AI, don't copy from each other. Don't cheat. There's no need to cheat, because there's so many ways for you to fix your grade and boost your grade. Any questions about that? Okay, student expectations. Students are expected to participate, not necessarily today. This is a lot of me talking to you, which is really boring for me. It's probably really boring for you. Hopefully, as we move forward and start actually doing lectures, we can be talking with each other instead of me talking at you. But yes, please participate. You are expected to read the textbook. Make sure you read your textbooks before you come in. So technically, you should at least start chapter 1 before we meet on Wednesday, in addition to the syllabus. And make sure you're here. So like I said, lecture. Technically, according to the university, Attendance is required, so I am keeping track of attendance for that reason. I'm not going to penalize you for not being here, but again, there's like financial aid reasons and things like that. I think athletes have to be here or whatever. There's rules that the university has that makes me take attendance. But if you come to if you come to lecture like you guys have today, and you are online, this counts for you today only. If you're in person, you get your 2 points automatically, extra credit. So every time you come to lecture, you get 2 points of extra credit. If you attend online, you will get 1 point of extra credit. Now, some of you, like again, if you're just really sick and you just can't get out of bed, not to come to campus or even to join us online, I am recording these lectures. So hopefully every one of them will be recorded. Something usually goes wrong every once in a while, but generally speaking, I'll share these lectures with you, and then you can watch the video. And again, you can still get your 1 point of extra credit. Now, that being said, moving forward, I'm going to start doing things different. So throughout the lectures, I'm going to say something like, all right, the first word for attendance is, and I'm going to give you a word for attendance. So for those of you in person, you should write those down. And at the end of the class, you can email me those and get even more extra credit. So you get more than 2 points of extra credit. You get more for sending me those attendance words to prove that you were paying attention. Yes, good.
Because you sitting there saying extra credit, this is all over. So you got so many ways to get 100 points of extra credit, not this is a separate on extra credit.
Right, yeah. There's so many different ways to get extra credit.
But it all equals 100.
Oof, more than 100. There's hundreds of extra credit possible points out there.
Well, I'm sorry, I might be saying it wrong, but you're only going to take a total of 100.
Oh no, I'll take as many. Yeah. No, the only cap for extra credit is you can only jump up one grade. Oh yeah, so I guess you could look at it that way. And again, I'll send a document out that explains extra credit a little bit more. But yes, so again, 2 points, and if you're paying attention and send those words in, email those at the end, then you get even more than 2 points. If you're online or watching the video, then those words, what was that noise? Those words will not be extra credit words for you. Those will be required. So if you're in person, you're going to just automatically get your points. If you're online, I need you to send those words in because that's your proof that you're paying attention. Because I can't tell you how many times even I have joined an online meeting that I really shouldn't have even had to go to anyway, and I just veg out, not gonna lie. Like, it has nothing to do with me, but I'm forced to be here. So I'll just be like, yep, and I'm even staring at my screen, but I'll be like, I'm clicking other things and doing other stuff, I'll admit it. So just to make sure you guys aren't doing that, because you actually do need to pay attention to this, I will say the first word for attendance is, and you write it down, and that's what you have to send in as proof that you're paying attention. But anyway, any questions about about attendance? So again, it's mandatory and it'll help you. Again, like I said, check announcements daily. When I post announcements to my online, it automatically sends you an email. So do that often. Read the textbook, I already talked about that. All right, so this is the point. Like I said, right, your first assignment is to read the syllabus. You can get to here, and then you can skip towards the bottom. Because the rest of this is the same as in every other professor's syllabus. So this part, you can read if you want, but I don't care. Proctoring, we already talked about. You don't have to have anything proctored. If you do, I prefer you let me proctor it. It's free, and it's me. So you don't need to worry about any of that, but I'm required to have it in the syllabus. Here we go. This is important for you. This is the tentative course schedule. So this is basically what we're planning to do. This whole 16-week course is broken down into 8 modules, and each module is broken down generally into 2 weeks. So you can just see here, this is the tentative schedule, right? We're going to cover chapter 1 this week, chapter 2 next week, chapter 3 the week after that, so on and so forth. It's all right there. This also tells you generally when things are due. And then later this week, probably today, I'm going to send you a spreadsheet that has all your exact due dates. Not only the due dates, but you can click on it. So here you can't click on it, right? But the spreadsheet I'm going to share with you, you can click on that, and it will take you to quiz 1. So I'll send that with you. So yeah, stay on top of your due dates. Again, we don't have lab this week. We don't start until next week. Spring break, you can read all that. That's the most important thing to tell you here. All right, last day of class is, oh man, look at that. That's what is it? Do Friday. Anyway, it's all on that spreadsheet that I'm gonna send you. So again, the only due dates, let me say this really quickly. The only big due date, big assignment would be independent work at the end of the semester. I get you in a second. As I'm gonna explain later when we talk about labs, every week you're gonna have a pre-lab that's due before you can come to lab. That'll always be due on a Friday. I'll explain that later. And then every week you have a lab that's due, and your lab is due before you leave this room, and then it's past due on Friday, which basically means before you leave here on Wednesday, you need to upload whatever it is you have, upload your assignment. And then you'll have between Wednesday and Friday to correct it or to fix any mistakes you may have made. But again, we'll cross that bridge when we talk about lab. What was your question?
How early can you take a quiz?
Good question. Quizzes should be all open, I think. And if it's not, let me know. But in theory, you could leave class today and go take all 8 quizzes. All 8 quizzes.
Just keep working on it,
Was that?
and just keep doing them until.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yep. But the due dates, there are, you can start them as early as you want, but there are due dates. Yeah, like the first quiz one will be due at the end of module or week 2. So, but again, I'll send you a spreadsheet that has the exact due dates. And then with the quizzes, even past the due date, you can still do them, right? Just not for a grade. Your grade will be set after the due date, but you can still do them as your study guides. Any other questions? All right, so really quickly, one more time before we leave. Make sure you read the syllabus before you come in on Wednesday. And again, I'll know. You'll see how I know once you read it. Make sure you do that. I prioritize that actually. Prioritize that. Prioritize reading anything I send you via email and the announcements. Those will be very important. And then if you get a chance, then go ahead and start reading chapter 1. And yeah, write a paper. Write a paper. Go ahead and start making those mistakes and learning from them and getting those 20 points per page. And that's all I have for you guys. So I'll see you on Wednesday, either in person or online, or if you need me, I'll be in the office and online for office hours at least until 10 a.m. I think so. Yeah. The problem is it's because it's online, they update it. So I don't necessarily recognize
I hit my
it.
phone steps, but
That's got to be.
yeah, I'm gonna get, you said extra, yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right, so since you're online, do me a favor, if you can help me, send me an email to say that you were online. Oh, no, sorry, your person, whoever it is online. And then if you could also send me an email to let me know that you were here later. And did you have any other questions? Though?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is this the same course?
Should wear my glasses. Sorry, I hate taking people's phones. Blue 101. Dash 06. No. Oh, no. Yours is at the bottom?
No, this is the last year. I'm just trying to make sure I'm not.
Oh, yes. It is 101. Yeah.
It is?
Yeah. So you had Ford last year?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yep, same course.
All right.
Hopefully,
So I got.
if it was hard last time, hopefully I can make it easy.
I'm trying to figure out if I have to retake it or if it was just like they didn't know I was already in it type of thing.
Interesting. Yeah. If I were you, I would talk to your advisor. Like when you leave here, get in touch with them immediately. Make sure that you need to. Yeah, it would be a waste of your time if you didn't need to.
All right. But I'll send that email.
All right. Thank you.